he served his purpose as a soldier of the Empire.
Welcome back to WD MagicCast for the week of April 2nd, 2023. This is episode 220. WD MagicCast, the show about the mouse, the Marvels, the galaxy, and beyond. I'm your host, Matthew Graykin. In this week's show, Dave Gallman and I sit down and discuss Season 2 of The Bad Batch. Now, I must apologize in advance. About two-thirds of the show, so you're going to be about 35 minutes into the show, and my internet cut out. As I explained early on, that we had a powerful storm that produced a tornado in my area. It turned out to be a EF2. So my internet eventually did give out, even though I did have power. For whatever reason, the internet stopped working. So we were able to continue it on my cell phone, so I do make a mention of that. But again, just want to apologize and make note of it ahead of time so you know going in that there'll be some uncontrollable incidences that happen. And also, again, I must apologize for missing last week. I was under the weather as fighting off something, so wasn't able to record. But we're back again this week and dealing with everything in stride. And on that bombshell, we'll be back after these words from our friends and sponsors.
Hey Matthew, Jim Hill here. I do the Marvelous Disney podcast with Aaron Adams over at the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network. I know, very humble sounding name. Anyway, I really enjoy what you've been doing over on the Disney Marvels podcast, but as you probably already noticed, the Marvel Us Disney and the Disney Marvels podcast names are very, very similar, which is why I imagine I keep getting mail for you. That's actually why I'm calling today. I wanted to know what you'd like me to do with all of these Yankee Candle catalogs, so please get back to me. And keep up the great work with the Disney Marvels podcast.
Thank you for those kind words, Jim. And make sure to check out Jim Hill on the Marvel Us Disney podcast with Aaron Adams to find out all sorts of wonderful things about Disney, well, Marvel, particularly what's going on with them. And Jim, those catalogs, I'll make sure to give you the forwarding address. And unless if you want to order something, go right ahead. And once again, make sure to check out Marvel Us Disney with Jim Hill and Aaron Adams, wherever you find or listen to your podcasts. And now, on with the show. Though the weather outside may be frightful here, we are going through anyway because we want to sum up this season of The Bad Batch, which just concluded last Wednesday, a week ago. And it is definitely a season to be discussed. We shall get into this. We may have some varying opinions, but we will be discussing it anyway. And we will try to keep this on the briefer side because I don't know how long my internet will hold out while they're repairing all the storm damage outside of my house. So, on that note, let me bring in the expert on cloning in our field of podcasting, David Gallman. Welcome back, Dave.
Hello, Matthew. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to see that your house is still standing.
Mine is. You should see my neighbors.
Oh, yeah. For those
Wires
that don't know,
just pulled right out of the side of the house, like some gray hairs just pulled. It's thankfully their house is fine. Their neighbors, so 2 houses down from mine, the trees and telephone poles. So 2 trees fell and a telephone pole fell all around their car.
Oh, Didn't hit the car, but around the car.
As far as I could tell, it did not hit the car. The one tree fell down on the driver's side. The other one's the passenger side, and the telephone pole landed in the street.
Wow.
On top of a box truck. Well, the wires ended on top of a guy in a box truck. So.
Wow. Yeah, for those that are wondering, we just had a massive storm system roll through New Jersey, all along the East Coast, and it was not pretty. We got the tornado warnings on the cell phone and everything, so it was it was a scary moment.
Yeah, I know, not putting light to the other states who are going through much more tragic than what we went through.
Very true.
Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, all you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Our thoughts and prayers are with you all as you're going through much worse than us. But even 100%. Here in New Jersey, where we don't get tornadoes, just had another one pass through, and this literally was outside my door. I can't confirm at this point in time when you're listening to the episode, maybe. But as far as today on Saturday night, I can't confirm that it actually was a tornado, but it was pretty close, and that some of the news media is speculating already. So if you hear me pause or something, it's people texting me, A, either to make sure that we're okay, and B, with updates of what's going on. So yeah, it was pretty hairy. I mean, the hail was coming down so hard. It was so loud, I thought it broke through some of my windows.
Yeah.
But thankfully not. But it was hitting it that hard. It actually even rang my doorbell.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to my upstairs bedroom to get a better viewpoint of, what was going on outside. And I really couldn't see outside because all the hail was just pinging off of that. And I'm like, I don't know if this is safe to be standing in front of the window. If it cracks and you get shattered glass on me, I'm like, I'm out. I'm going down.
Yeah. And the amount of lightning that was going on.
Yeah.
Oh, it was insane.
Yeah. But, thankfully we got through it. So.
Yes. No one seemed to be hurt in this area. The reports of someone in Delaware, unfortunately, may have gotten killed from the same storm surge. But no, in this area, thankfully, so far, everyone seems to be okay. All right. First responders and the utility companies are on the scene trying to do their jobs and repair and clean up after all the madness. And speaking of madness,
yes.
We have season 2 of The Bad Batch has just concluded with a double episode of, and I had the list here, The Summit and Plan 99.
Yes.
Those were the 2 final episodes to wrap up the season. We total had 16 episodes altogether. Let's kind of sum it up. How would you summarize? Let's go with how would you summarize the season? We'll give our grades, and then we'll go into the spoiler part. So anyone who hasn't finished watching yet, they could just hear our general thoughts before we get into spoilers, and then and go forth from there.
Okay, I don't know. Just via our text, I think I'm going to have a different opinion than you on for once. Usually we're kind of on the same page with things. I think this one we're going to differ on. This season, it almost, to me, my opinion, it was almost like a waste of a season. I didn't get as much out of this one that I had hoped for. Again, maybe I wasn't paying attention fully to all the episodes. I watched them all, but I didn't get hooked into this. It just felt like it was too much filler. The coolest character, in my opinion, was what's his face? With the eye. He's got the
crosshair.
Crosshair. Oh my god,
yes.
I had a brain fart. Crosshair, and he was barely in the thing. Whenever he was on, whatever episode he was in, I was captivated and drawn to, and he was barely in this. It just like the adventures with Sid, and then they go away from her, and I don't know. Then it was just a rushed ending. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but this is the way it felt to me. It was just like filler, Crosshair, filler. Okay, here's the ending. Let's do a rushed, forced ending to set up season 3. That's kind of what I took from it. And I hope I didn't score the first 2 episodes that high because I'm
I was looking for my notes from that episode, and being that it's been a while, I don't know where I placed them at the moment.
right.
But I remember the first ones we enjoyed. So
Oh wow, yeah.
yeah, I'm just showing Dave that there was there's pictures of what looks to be a funnel cloud
That
touching
looks like
down.
a funnel to me, man. Yeah.
Yeah, right near my location.
That's scary, dude.
So anyway, sorry. It's I do have a different angle on it than you. Yes. Do I find it the most of the 2 seasons? Last season felt a lot more compelling, a lot more linear.
Mhm.
And that, I think that's a good word to describe last season versus this season. Last season's a lot more linear. This is a much more abstract season. They are going in. The word I use, and I on the CWK Facebook page group, I actually posted a rather lengthy summary of this season, or what I felt this season was about, and to kind of paraphrase my own writings, this season was about change, and it is about change for all the characters. Is a change in lifestyle for the Bad Batch as they are moving away from being soldiers and trying to find a purpose when their only thing in existence was to be soldiers, and they're not that anymore.
Mhm.
Their change of who they follow, because they followed the Republic before. The Republic does not exist anymore. It's been replaced by the Empire. They're not following the Empire. So who are they following? They always had someone in command and telling them what to do. But they had Sid. Sid's not in the picture so much this season. In fact, they're being told to stay away from Sid,
Mhm.
which sets up the end of the season.
Right.
In trying to find an identity beyond their identity, their sole purpose of being a specific soldier. Wrecker being the muscle, Tech being the tech guy, Echo being, I call him the droid, because that's kind of, he fills that role.
Mhm.
Hunter being the leader and the tracker, like a ranger. So Crosshair being the sniper. So you don't serve those purposes anymore. So who are you? Who are you? And that's kind of what this season was, is them discovering who they are, or starting to discover and realize that they are no longer these people of their past, that they were created for, because they are clones.
Mm.
That they have to go and find out and discover who they are beyond that. And you get that slowly over the season, because it's not going to be something you could rush. And if they rushed it in an episode, 2 episodes, even hell, 3 episodes, if you did that short, you would not be doing the process justice. Even for Omega, is change for her. And I said
really,
one of the.
Do you think they actually? Because to me, her character has not changed for me whatsoever. I didn't see it other than her crying over. What?
We'll get there.
Yeah, I forgot. Okay, we're not going to. But to me, her character doesn't seem to have grown in this season.
See, she has grown more as she's discovering things or learning more.
Right.
She was learning how to fly the Marauder. She's, learning things about life that she never got to expose. And here's the funny part. We were constantly reminded throughout this season of how young, that she is a young child.
Mm.
Omega is a young child. And she needs to be given the experiences of a young child. She is older than every other person in the Bad Batch. But I think that's, without pointing it out, I think that was intentional.
Mm. Yeah.
You know, that she is young and she needs to discover things. But at the same time, remember, they're young, so that makes them younger. Even though they're physically older, they are chronologically younger, and they need to discover things. So again, so yes, I say this season, to sum it up, is about change and rediscovery of who they are, what is their purpose, and you see them moving in a different direction than being soldiers. And we'll get into a particular line that came up in the end that actually brings credence to that. But in general, I mean, I enjoyed the first season better than I enjoyed the second season. I didn't think that it was a horrible season. I just enjoyed the first season more. I'm looking forward to a third season. I really hope there is a third season. But it is...
They better come out with a third season.
Yeah.
Because they got to explain something. They left everything wide open. I'm like...
But, so, okay, how would you rate this season out of 10? Collective season.
As a whole, it could have been so much better, because there's the underlying storyline that's going with them. They could have developed their characters, like you said, you know, with the change and everything like that, in a shorter time frame. I think it suffers from the...
No, I said they shouldn't have.
They shouldn't have done that?
No.
Okay, well, I think that it suffers with the 16 episodes. Because, I don't know, I'm used where the new ways are like the 8 to 12 episodes or whatever. They could have tightened it up a little bit, got to more of the meat and potatoes, and just moved on. I don't know. I'll probably give it a 6, man, because I just this season was hard for me to. It didn't keep my attention throughout all the episodes. It was like a handful out of the 16 that grabbed my attention. The other ones, I was just like, all right, ho hum, where are we going?
Okay, so I gave it a 7.5. So I'm actually not that far off from you.
Yeah.
But again, I do view it differently. So
yeah, true.
So let me just say now, okay, so here's our grades. Anyone who hasn't finished the season out, pause the episode, finish the season out, come back and rejoin us. Anyone who has, feel free to continue joining along. So you said that it suffers from being really long at 16 episodes.
Yeah. I think that's the second point for me.
So I'm going to do a lot of comparison to Clone Wars, because I've actually watched more of Clone Wars than I have of Rebels yet. Guess how many episodes are in Clone Wars seasons?
Oh, they probably, because back then it was probably 26 episodes a season. I'm
22
guessing.
episodes.
Yeah. Because that's where, but those were on TV. Those were weekly episodes that you would watch on TV. And I know where you're going. Yes, there was a ton of filler on that, on a lot of those episodes. And I'm not saying they were all great, but the overall arc of the Clone Wars was awesome. To me, there was more people to draw from in the Clone Wars than there are with the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch
eventually.
Right, but we're doing a show about the Bad Batch. It's the Bad Batch doing whatever they're doing. So if they don't want to be a part and they just want to go to Pabu and retire, okay, then what do we do? Why are we doing a show about the Bad Batch? You know, because there's the underlying story of what's going on in the Bad Batch that they just totally put in the rear view.
So, and this is how I viewed this season. So you start off kind of business as usual, which is where you're going to start something.
Right.
Business as usual. This is what's happened since the last time we've seen an episode. And along comes the change. All right. So you introduce the Wanda Sykes character.
Which that one threw me because I thought they were going to go in a different direction with her character than what they ended up utilizing her with. I don't know. That was just me.
Yeah, I was expecting there to be trouble.
Yeah.
And in some ways she was, her character being Fee Genoa.
Yeah.
So they introduce that. Okay. Then you find out, okay, Sid is in the first season, you always knew Sid was a little not kosher. Like,
wishy-washy.
Yeah, well, not wishy-washy. She wasn't showing all her cards.
Okay, there you go.
She would explain some stuff, but there was other stuff that she had going on, and kind of like a need to know type of basis. I'm telling you this is as much as you need to know. But I there's more stuff going on. And that pans out kind of in this season. So you start off with some adventures about that and seeing Sid, okay, how Sid treats, the Clone Force 99 and what's going on with them. And they're starting to get tired of being her lackeys. Like, no, we don't want to do all your dirty work. Get a small portion of whatever we've recovered. And to the point that they're not even finishing the missions that they're being sent on.
Right. They weren't that successful.
Right. And so, they're like, yeah, we're distancing ourselves from her. And along comes Fee and starts, explaining, I'm friends with Sid. Sid and I go way back. Don't trust Sid. So you have the outside character explaining, what else is going on in there. So they need to start kind of, you still need the adventure part. So, okay, they follow Fee on a few different adventures to kind of expand their view of some stuff going on. And they build a slight better rapport with her. And so eventually she takes them to this planet and they say, you know what? Maybe we can rethink life here. We like this, and this is kind of where we need to go, which they mentioned at one point with we were thinking of settling down here. And just kind of giving up our fighting ways, because what are we fighting for? At this point in time, the rebellion has not started yet.
Right.
You still have Saw Gerrera running around, a younger Saw Gerrera running around doing his thing. You haven't had the rebellion form. So literally, what is the Bad Batch's purpose? Who are they fighting for? They are fighting the Empire by themselves. They can't do that. Meantime, you got this stuff, what's going on with the clones. All these clones are defecting, and we eventually find out that they are forming a group, and they are slowly trying to fight back against the Empire. And they're basically saving themselves because as the Empire sees clones, and we're shown this as well, that the clones are property in material, just like a car, right, or a tank or a gun or anything else. And they are looked upon as such.
As property. Yes.
Yeah, in one of the Crosshair episodes, his commanding officer said, "I hate used equipment." Referring to the clones, and they want to go and rescue some clones that were in distress in this remote base and kind of left behind. Which I found very interesting in that episode, because the human Imperial officer that came and said, "I am taking control of this," was a lower rank than the commanding clone officer. But since he's human, he's, says, "I am in charge because I am human."
Yeah.
Because he was a lieutenant, the guy was a commander. Commanders are higher than a lieutenant.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a very interesting point. And that was, and you are absolutely right that the Crosshair episodes were actually some of the stronger episodes.
Yeah.
And I did want some more Crosshair, but I had a feeling of what was going to happen, and it did, just not exactly the way that I thought it was. I figured, okay, Crosshair is now starting to see the errors of his way, that he cannot trust the Empire because the Empire wants nothing to do with him. So again, brings in the theming of change. And, it's a change for him. He wanted to stuck with the old ways and what he knew and serve the Empire because that's his new commander. That's his new master.
Right, but as he's going along, it seems like he's starting to realize that they look at him as just property, and that's what's going to push him
gum
back
on
to
the bottom of their shoes. Basically.
Right, and that's basically
disposable.
Right, that's going to be his wake up call to, because I'm assuming we all want him seeing back with the Bad Batch, and I think that's what's going to lead him back to them if there's a season 3.
And I thought what was interesting, I can't say for certain, but at the end of that episode, he executes the Imperial officer, and he gets arrested. I don't know if he was under house arrest, but what I thought was a prison cell, but maybe it was just his room looked exactly like his room. Yeah, I don't know if that was metaphorical that his room was a prison.
Yeah.
So, it did not change how his day went because he was still in the same spot that he was when he started off.
Right. Exactly.
So those were some of the darker and deeper episodes.
Yeah.
But it kind of goes hand in hand because you need to see what's going on the one side and how it affects the other side. So again, the Bad Batch are realizing that there's these other things going on in the universe, and they have to decide what is their place. Do they try and fight some of this stuff? And you could tell that they were getting a little tired of all these Sid missions. However, they were like on the mining planet, and what was going on there, and they served a purpose there because they liberated the.
But even with
children.
that was like episode 10, where 9 and 10, right? That's when they went out there to go find the stuff.
That was the mid-season.
Right, and then the kid steals the ship, and then they got to go back and get the ship. So that's 10 out of the 16 episodes that they're still doing missions of the week with Sid. You know what I'm saying? So it took them 10 of the 6 to finally say, okay, we're going to wipe our hands of Sid, only to go back to her. That's why I think it was a little bit of sloppy of a writing at the end there and forced to make them go back to her. That. And then to get, then she dimes them out.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that. Where the I guess that was the following episode. Is that no? It's not Metamorphosis.
No, Metamorphosis was with the Zillow Beast.
Yeah, so, what was the one before that where they Entombed? See, Entombed was not a Sid mission. Entombed was your first episode with Fee and experiencing her life. It was a very Indiana Jones, and there was some Indiana Jones references in that episode. True. And that was episode 5, and that was actually another pretty good one. Mm-hmm. Then you had Tribe after that. That was a Sid one but they found the Jedi Wookiee. Mm-hmm. I forgot his name, but so you had some interesting ones smattered in there. And then shortly after that, okay, so you had 10 was the retrieval when they retrieved and liberated the teenagers, children. Metamorphosis was with the Zillow Beast. The Outpost is the one with Crosshair. So yeah, it took a while to get back to Crosshair.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, wait, he showed up in 3. So he showed up in 3, and then he showed up in 9.
Right, that's 6 episodes later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a long time without him.
But I guess it's to be understood that he was doing all the same thing the whole time. So it's it would become a little probably too repetitive. It's like, okay, he's fighting with the Empire and being talked down and treat like trash.
Right.
Then we go into Pabu, which we introduced to that. Tipping Point, that was another Crosshair episode where we're introduced to the doctor guy.
Dr. Hemlock, I think.
Dr. Killpatient, no.
Dr. Hemlock, I think his name is.
Yes, Dr. Hemlock.
Which he's a cool bad guy. He's a cool bad guy.
He's
I
the
do
type
like
of
his
bad
stuff.
guy that could be like a Bond villain.
Yeah, exactly.
You just
100%.
instantly don't trust him,
Yeah.
and he like you see him and you get a chill down your spine
Yeah.
because you're like, he is up to no good and something bad is about to happen.
Yeah, and you can tell he's a part of the empire there. He's got that evilness about him that he's going to get what he wants at any cost. That's how he's, he gets that point across real quick. So
yeah, and then we get the summit in Plan 99 where the boys basically have to go out on their they were thinking is okay, all right, we have to do this one final mission. Echo, because Echo leaves, and I thought Echo was gone. He was never coming back. I knew he was going to show up at some point.
Yeah.
But I didn't foresee him ever joining Clone Force 99 again.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I'm like, okay, Crosshair is going to be rejoining the group. He's, Echo leaves, Crosshair comes back in.
Right. Yeah.
Not realizing that they kill Tech.
Yeah. Yeah, but we don't know if he's 100% dead yet, though.
You never know. No one fully ever dies in Star Wars, but
yeah.
I'd say there's a very good chance he's dead at the moment. I don't know if he seriously doubt he's getting the Echo treatment, but
right. But they suggested the romance between him and Fee, so I highly doubt that. They wouldn't suggest that if they were going to kill him off. I don't think, unless they were trying to pull at your emotional heartstrings.
No, I think I honestly think with how they framed and I want to say shot, even though it's animation,
Mm-hmm.
how they framed, shot, and edited down that segment, that I would think it does it a disservice if he's not dead, but he's not dead for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they just bring him back next season, it makes that whole emotional climax pointless.
Right. I'm not saying like first episode of season 3 they're going to bring him back. You know what I mean? Maybe somewhere down the road you will see.
If you bring him back like season 5.
Yeah, just come out of the blue, shoot somebody. Hey, I'm back. Whatever. I don't know.
Or like the zombified version of him, or
But let's take a moment to talk about the animation on this. That is like the home run of this series. It's stunning the way it looks, especially on like a high def TV. Whatever.
The animation is beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, to think of where you came from with Clone Wars and Rebels, even versus last season of Bad Batch, it is stunning, especially when you get to Pabu.
Mm-hmm.
That was some breathtaking scenery.
Yeah. 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 That's what I was saying. That's like, sometimes you like, am I watching a cartoon?
Right.
It's so vivid. It's gorgeous, man.
Yeah. The animation was stunning. The way that the models for the characters look now, they don't look like wooden stick figures.
Yeah.
A lot more fluid. There were some points, like I said, particularly with the Crosshair episodes, that they did push things to a more mature and a darker episode.
Yeah.
But I think there is a lot more lighter and less complicated episodes in this. Did they need to do it for 16? No, I think they did stretch it out a little too far with 16.
Yeah.
The final moments, I think it lined up how they ended it. But I think it's like a chapter or two too long. It did get a little disjointed. It all makes sense in hindsight, but it's also one of those, like, did it all need to be there? Like when Sid betrayed them, it didn't surprise you.
No, not at all. That was like, well, in my head, I'm like I said before, sloppy writing, because I'm like, Why would they go back to somebody that they just blew off, knowing that she threatened them? You know, on that little hologram thing. And I'm like, so you just walked right back to her, and you know she's gonna dime you out. So that's what I was saying. That's a little sloppy there. But like for me, like they planted the seeds of the cloning technology. We all know where we're going with that, either for Snoke or for the Emperor, so that he can have immortal life. That was touched on, but it went nowhere. They planted the seeds of a clone stormtrooper uprising, you know, a little battle or something like that. That was planted. Nothing went with it, you know.
Well, it was planted early, and you didn't reap it till the end, and it wasn't enough of. With the length of the season, I think we could have gotten that sooner to get more of it.
Right.
Now, this is what I'm saying. It's like, all right, you need a season 3 to
wrap it up,
finish out season 2.
Yeah.
Because you planted so much.
Right.
And like, so it's like, it can't end this way because
right.
I need more. You know, there's another female clone. But she's grown up, and it's like, okay. But I'm not. That didn't take me as big of a surprise as I guess they were hoping, because it's the same voice actress.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, she sounds a lot like Omega. It is Omega, but
yeah.
I mean, D. Bradley Baker voices everybody else, so I mean, it's like, okay.
Right. And I said, like, I've watched a million shows before. I've seen cliffhanger endings and all that stuff like that. And I've always like, oh, you can't end it like that. Now I got to wait forever to see the next one. This one was like, I was legit annoyed. And I'm like, because there was just so much unanswered. It wasn't just one thing. Like, oh, my God, is that guy going to die? I got to wait 6 months to see if he lives. There was so much left open. And now I got to wait until whenever to wrap up all these storylines. I think that's what annoyed me the most at the end of the day. It wasn't just I could have swallowed the pill if it was just one thing. This was a million things.
All right, you were saying, Dave. Sorry about that. I lost my internet, as I was afraid was going to happen. So I'm on my phone. Hopefully this holds up. But yeah, I think we'll be wrapping this up on the shorter end. But you go ahead, Dave. You were saying that they kind of dropped you like my internet did.
They dropped me like they did
the
internet.
Questions.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, to recap real quick, it was basically how I was just annoyed how they ended the season with so many story arcs still left unanswered.
Yeah, I agree, which is kind of why I was yelling at the TV saying, no, you can't end it this way.
Mm-hmm.
You always want to leave the audience wanting more, which they did,
mm-hmm.
but maybe a little too much more. Again, to me, that the kind of cliffhanger they put on the end of the season would be the mid-season cliffhanger if we had a mid-season.
Right, exactly. Yes.
You're kind of following the Star Trek The Next Generation playbook.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, you do episodes, you do the first half of the season, you put the cliffhanger in, you bring in the second half of the season where you kind of resolve a lot of those questions, and then you have more of those questions that you could work through the remainder of the season until you get to the big cliffhanger at the end of the season. But then generally it's just like one big cliffhanger and not 15, not a grocery list.
Right.
And I, like I said, I agree. Our ratings aren't that far off from each other. You're at 6, I'm at 7.5. It's only a 1.5 difference.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things, I just have a different view on their message, of the direction that they were trying to head in. I mean, agreeably, not in the best, maybe sense of the way. I mean, all in all, yes, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I'm happy we had more Bad Batch, and I am looking forward to more Bad Batch. I really hope we get more Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we are starting to learn a lot more, and we've had this discussion before about the sequel trilogies, we're going to get more answers to those eventually, and I think we're starting to in Bad Batch and even in Mandalorian.
Mandalorian as well. Yeah.
We are getting more clues to things that that happen in the last in episodes 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah. But do you see, like, for me, I don't see how the Bad Batch could exceed past a third season. You know, could they do it? Yeah, but I don't know if they'd be reaching with the story. Like, again, season 3 to me, don't drag it out. Give me like 8 to 10 episodes. Get to the point, tie up all the loose ends, and then ride off into the sunset on Pabu if that's what they want to do. Outside of, season 4, I don't know if they could pull off one.
It's hard to say. Honestly, it's hard to say because what was it? Rebels, I think. Mm-hmm. A lot of people said the same thing with Rebels, that it's like, okay, why at this point the show should be done, and then they kind of put in an additional twist, changed the MacGuffin around, and kind of brought in new life for another season or 2.
Right. But I think Rebels, what was it, 5 seasons, I think?
I want to say it was 5 seasons.
Yeah, I think...
I can't look it up at the moment.
Right. As far as I'm with Rebels, 5 was perfect. Like, they ended it... They did the right thing with Rebels by doing 5 and done. So, that's why I'm like, with Bad Batch, I don't know, 3 might be the number for them. It depends. It depends on the direction. It depends on the story, Yeah.
I think... what will determine the lifespan of Bad Batch is what do they do with Omega's story.
Right, because she seems to be the integral part of the storyline, even though they really didn't move that along in this one.
No, you got a little bit at the beginning. You got hints at it with Fee and the relationship that she started to build with Fee, and kind of, again, a change in a new direction of, originally she wanted to be a soldier. She wanted to be one of the Bad Batch.
Right.
And Fee kept going to her, but you're more like me.
Yeah.
You're not like these guys. You're an adventurer like me who wants to problem solve and find things.
Yeah.
Again, there is that change element, which is why I said that this whole season's about change.
Mm-hmm. And now she's Hemlock's prisoner, reunited with Nala Se, right?
Nala Se, and I liked how they dropped the little, the things that make you go moment of you trust the Kaminoans, but you won't trust me when the Kaminoans are the ones you shouldn't be trusting. Right. I'm your sister. It's like,
yes.
Well, yeah. Why should I believe that? I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah.
But why should I believe that?
Yeah, exactly.
Why should I trust you? You're my sister. That's more reason why I shouldn't trust you.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. So. But, there's hopes for it. It's just after the season, I hope they, if there's a storyboard going on, I hope they listen to some of the feedback from the viewers and stuff of what they did and learn from that, man. Maybe just get to the point and let's go. We don't need any more missions from Sid or any more fluff. Just get to, we had enough of that. Let's wrap it up.
Well, I don't think we've seen the last of Sid.
I don't think so either. No.
You figure you bring in a talent like Rhea Perlman, you're not going to use her for 1.5 seasons.
Right.
And I think they may give Sid the moment to kind of redeem herself.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my guess. But we will see, because what we are left is with a very defeated and very broken Clone Force 99.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is not a situation that you would think they've ever found themselves in before.
Mm-hmm.
So again, more change.
And okay, wait, one last thing. What do you think? Like Hemlock going after them? Is it because they are the altered clones with certain set of skills that they have? Is that why he wants to, track them down and experiment on because they're different?
Well, see, and that's kind of the weird part because he said he wasn't interested in them.
Mm-hmm.
He was just after Omega.
Yeah, just after Omega, but
how they left it was he after Omega, or is I should have written down her name, his assistant, or maybe she's the one in charge.
Yeah, you never know.
Is she the one that's actually after Omega, and he's kind of the facilitator? But there's a lot more to those characters than we were given information to. Again, this is why I'm saying this felt more of the mid-season than a season ender, because we have a lot of questions about them.
Was Dr. Skalder? Was that who that?
Was it voiced by
Helen Sadler?
No, that's not Omega's voice, is it? It's the same voice actress as.
Oh, Michelle Ang is Omega.
Yes, Michelle Ang.
Okay, never mind then. That wasn't her. I was trying to help you out on her name. I don't know.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. So it's. I thought there was something maybe going to be like a genetic code that she has, or something to, like, a auto-destruct DNA sequence that he could utilize and wipe out all the clones that way, or reprogram them and repurpose them. I thought there was something to that extent. Or the key to the cloning is actually in her because she is an unaltered, where all the other ones are altered. So he wants that unaltered for, as you know, we know that in the long game, it's for the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's where I thought they were going with that. I wasn't expecting this left field thing so much of the I'm your sister, so that's why I was looking for you. I'm like, no, but I still don't trust you.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Sorry, I thought we lost you again.
I see you keep moving, so like I said, we probably should wrap this up.
We're good.
But no, I enjoyed it, but it didn't have the continuity, I feel, as the first season or some of the other shows. I thought this was a little more of an abstract season.
Right.
Not bad, but we could have used a little more refinement.
Yeah, and I don't want it to come off that I totally disliked or hated this season. It was just the frustration of it, because I know that there's a good storyline that they have here, and for me, it just didn't hit those story points, enough to move the story along. I get all the character development and everything like that. I get all that, but there's other things that need to be talked about that for me took a back seat to it. So that's the only thing. That's where my negative criticism would come onto the show. Overall, it's a good show. I want to see it succeed, but it's just got to be. It's the pacing of it has to be done a little bit differently, I think, in my opinion.
No, I agree. Hey, so you do like it a little more than Last Jedi?
Yes, it's better than Last Jedi. My all-time, it's got to be really bad for it to surpass The Last Jedi. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. So there you have it.
Okay.
Thank you for putting up with us with all the technical difficulties and all the stuff. And yeah. So all in all, satisfying-ish.
Satisfying-ish, yes.
It's like Chinese food. You're enjoying
Yeah.
you enjoy each piece, but by the end of it, you're filled for a moment, but you're still left hungry.
Still hungry, yes. Oh boy.
There's a
All right.
metaphor for you.
Yes. Fitting.
And on that bombshell, let us know what you guys thought of this season 2 of The Bad Batch. Join us on our social networks. Find us on the website www.wdmagiccast.com. I probably should just say wdmagiccast.com.
Mm-hmm.
It has a nicer ring to it. And yeah, well, Dave, thank you again, and we'll be talking soon.
You got it, bud. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you again to Dave for joining us this week as we discussed the season wrap-up of Season 2 of The Bad Batch. What were your thoughts of this season? Let us know. Join the conversation on our Facebook page and Facebook group, facebook.com/WDMagicCast. On Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, we can be found at WDMagicCast. As well, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which we can be found again at WDMagicCast. You can leave us a voice message, be heard on the show yourself. Leave it through Anchor, our Anchor app, or Anchor.fm website, or record it on your own electronic device, your computer, your laptop, your smartphone, tablet, whatever you have, and email it to email@wdmagiccast.com. Also, any questions or suggestions you may have, send to that email address as well. And if it's a question, we'll read it, answer it on the show. This is an interactive show. You could be part of it as well. Links to all of these can be found in the show notes and on our website, wdmagiccast.com. I want to thank you for your time. I know how little time we all have, and knowing that you spent some of this time together with us truly means a lot. We cannot thank you enough, but please let other people know about the show. Leave a rating or review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. We have all 5-star reviews on both of those at the moment. Keep them coming. The more reviews we get, the more they will do their job to promote our show as well. Also, share out a link on your social networks and tag us along so we can thank you personally. But yes, send out a link to the episode you're listening to. Let other people know about it. Or if you know friends who are into Disney, let them know. Join in. The bigger the family, the better. Walt believed in a big Disney family, and so do we. Don't forget to subscribe to the show while you're at it. This way you'll always know when new episodes are posted. And while you're at it, consider becoming a premium subscriber. Really help the show out. You could do this over at anchor.fm/WDMagicCast/support. Or also please go out and check out our merchandise shop store, where you can get some t-shirts, hoodies, lightweight jackets, coffee mugs, phone cases, stickers, etc., etc., etc. And get yourself some stuff to wear and help the show out as well. You can find links to these as well in the show notes and again on our website, wdmagiccast.com. Because remember, the show is brought to you by listeners like you. In Japan, broken objects are often repaired with gold. The flaw is seen as a unique piece of the object's history, which adds to its beauty. Consider this the next time you feel broken. Never give up, never give in. Be your own hero. And don't forget, it is okay to ask for help. Help will be given to those who need it. Now, I'd like to end this week's show with a quote from Walt Disney himself. In this volatile business of ours, we can ill afford to rest on our laurels, even to pause in retrospect. Time and conditions change so rapidly that we must keep our aim constantly focused on the future. Again, that's Walt Disney. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you next time.